What's up, everybody? Welcome back to What Is This Podcast? I am Dave, and with me, as always, is Gene.
Yo,
So, what up, Gene? How you been?
same old, yourself.
Same shit, man. But yeah, so I guess today the topic of conversation, it's really what we want this all to turn into, right?
Yeah.
Like where we want this to go, what we want, what are our dreams and aspirations in terms of getting into the podcast
Yes, sir.
space.
Yep.
So, what are your dreams, Gene?
Well, my areas of interest kind of center around like production. You know what I mean? That's where my gifts lie. I am a creative individual that happens to have the ability to kind of make things happen, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm really good with the ideation process and the production process. I'm just not as strong in the execution end of things, But other than that, you know what I'm saying? Production is. I want to be. I would ultimately love to have a podcast network. Just different shows that are having very interesting and important conversations. But you never know where life takes you and what opportunities may present itself. I think ultimately the main goal that I'm trying to prioritize and maintain as number one is to ultimately become a better conversationalist, and to learn to have better conversations because that adds a lot of value into anyone's life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's like we talked about. I think we talked about that a little bit in the first episode, and about how just even as a people these days, as the human race, we don't listen and conversate anymore. We just wait to respond with our own bullshit.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's unfortunate,
Yeah.
So I'm doing my part by trying to work on me, and really kind of do what I preach. So this is my attempt.
Yeah, and so far I would say it's a you're doing very well. It's a very good attempt.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And yeah, I would say in terms, like my dream has always sort of been to have sort of to be able to do creative things and make a living out of it. That's because I'm good at I'm I have a difficult time saying that I'm good at anything. It's just an esteem thing.
Like any creative person.
Right, but like I find myself being pretty good at being able to come up with stories and tell stories in different ways, and that's always been my passion. And like I'm tired. I don't want to have a boss anymore. Like I'm just tired of working for other jackasses.
Yeah.
Who don't really have they don't give a shit about me or like my time or anything.
I agree.
So you know what? I would rather just take control of my shit.
I agree.
And live my life the way I want to live it. And I have a lot of stories to tell, and I want to be able to tell them because I just I'll feel sort of like a failure in a way if I don't tell some of these stories. Like it's just sort of like an unfulfilled what's the word? Potential.
Yeah.
Like I feel like most of my life has just been unfulfilled potential. Like that's what the theme of my life has been thus far.
Yeah, that's tough. That's definitely a lot of that's some tough self-placed pressure you're putting on yourself.
Yeah,
but I understand.
Sure.
I understand where it's coming from because ultimately you're a storyteller, and that's what you want to do is just tell stories. And if you kind of die not doing what you feel like you're meant to do, then know it's. I would imagine it would feel like a life wasted.
Yes, and that's not like a total life wasted because there's things in my life that I'm very fulfilled by.
Of course.
My family, very fulfilled by that. But
of course.
And it's not like I want to tell. It's like as long as I tell one story and I tell it well.
Yep.
That even just that'll be good. What's up, kid? Do you love your hometown and want to represent it to the fullest? Of course you do, bud. Whether you're going to the spa, running to dunks, or driving down the Cape for the weekend, Boston Bread has the perfect gear to keep you looking wicked fresh, dude. Go to bostonbread.com right now and enter offer code WHITCAST to get 10% off your first order. That's WITCAST for 10% off. And remember the motto, guy: Boston born, Boston bred, and when we die, we'll be Boston dead. And yeah, and like I just hope, in things we've talked about, like I hope that this is sort of the foundation to start something where, not like I would also love to be able to be that person that helps other people tell their stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
and
sure.
like, like I want to be able to create a space, that's not, we live in Massachusetts, in Boston, and the, the areas right around it. And they're like, the industry isn't here like that.
No.
It's starting to be.
Well, that's because the industry is on the internet, right?
And everything's changing. So, like, now's the time for us to sort of get in and, start, like, the independent space for people to fucking tell their stories. And, like, podcasts, and like, because to me, it's like we'll start with the podcast and then we can sort of move beyond that as we go along.
Well, yeah, no, and that's what I was gonna say. That like this is really just an opportunity for us to kind of catch our footing, to do something, to create some kind of momentum. So eventually, we can not just rely on our sheer will to make things happen. We have the inertia of our previous accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I mean that's that's everything, and again, like I think we're too smart and too good at this to not make this happen.
And I'm not one to toot my own horn. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you, I have a hard time saying that I'm good at anything, but I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
This I'm good at. And I'm holding on to that, and I am continuing to kind of, hone in my skills and work on my craft. So one day I can confidently say that I am a master at whatever it is that I do. And that's probably the one thing I will say, the one area in my life that kind of gives me that life, that, that drive that, I hope that we all experience.
Yeah. And what would you say is the thing, like right now, like what is the one thing that you want to be the master of? Like, do you want to be good at sort of at general all aspects of production, or is there like one thing that you really want to learn more than the other stuff and be, do you want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, or a master of something and, decent at everything else?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, I gave myself a nickname, and I know you're not supposed to, but fuck you. I'm doing it anyways. I call myself Jack Oates, jack of all trades. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I'm decent or good at a lot of different little things. But to answer your question, and for some people, it may sound like a cop out, or it may come off as abstract and nebulous. But like I want to focus on developing my ability, just the creative process. I just want to work. I want to really have a nuanced understanding of the creative process and how things come about and how ideas take form and take shape. And I've actually never verbally admitted this to anybody. So this is what is it? This is an exclusive here. But I've always said that I am gonna become a creative juggernaut. I don't know necessarily what that means.
Okay.
But that's a
All
big,
right.
bold
Yeah.
set of words there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really feel like that is something that I can obtain and accomplish. And I just want to be known as somebody who has quality ideas, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just real quality ideas. And quality ideas, what I've learned in this journey, are hard earned. In order to, you have to earn quality ideas by working on your craft and getting an understanding, knowing the science of whatever it is that you that you're working on, knowing the different workflows and methodologies and school of thoughts. You know what I mean? Get a nuanced understanding, a deep, rich knowledge of what it is that you're working on.
The systems.
The systems, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from that, your ideas will take shape and they will form from that knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, it's unfortunate, because we live in a world of instant gratification.
Yeah.
And people want to, if you want to be you want to make rap beats, you get a program and you slap things together, and people, a lot of people are just satisfied with that. It's great if you're just starting out to, to get going, to fuel that flame of passion that you have in you, about whatever it is that you want to pursue. But a lot of people are just happy with just putting things out there rather than actually putting in the sweat and learning their craft, learning their subject,
Yeah.
And I feel as though that I'm doing that. I'm excited about what that can potentially create after a long period of time of consistency and discipline. And that's what ultimately drives me till this day.
Yeah. And I think, it's real. One thing you said is really important about sort of like the instant gratification society that we live in. Because even with me, I think a big problem for me, and I would say this is a problem with a lot of creative people, is that there's like, I want to be good at this right now.
Yeah. It doesn't work
Like, I want to
way.
be good at it right off the bat. And then when I'm not, I get frustrated and I'm like, well, fuck this. And I
Yeah.
move on. And it's like, that's such a terrible, terrible mind state. And that's something in the last few months, that I've really, really been working on. Like, I am starting to make, not just hip hop beats, but just a lot of music on myself. And I'm really digging into Ableton
You have to.
and just trying to figure out the program because, like you said, like a lot of people just, it's quantity over quality a lot of times. And they're trying to get their name out there so bad that they're just throwing out every single thing that they're creating.
It's the wrong way to go about it, in my
Right.
opinion.
And I agree.
It's not gonna get you. It's not gonna get you anywhere. You have to put in the sweat, the blood, and the tears.
Yeah.
That is that. It's just it's a function of reality, right?
Yes.
Dynamic tension is what creates stuff in this universe, right?
Yeah.
Conflict, tension, explosions, implosions. It's just how it's the engine of existence, right? So you have to struggle for whatever it is that you want to give birth. You didn't come you came into this world violently.
Yes.
You literally assaulted your mother.
Ripped our way out. Yeah.
Coming in. You know what I mean? And that's just that's the case in many areas in life.
Yeah. And like we've set up sort of this construct of like failure is not an option. And it's like, well, failure is the best option. Like
It's the only option.
right. Like
Really.
you have to fail. Like, and that's the thing. Like I've always been so afraid to fail and look like a jackass.
Such
And
the
like
wrong mindset.
like that's it's held me back so much in my life.
That
and
is
it's like-
the ultimate failure.
Right. Because in that you become comfortable in sort of this, like, well, I'm just gonna stay in my comfort zone and feel good all the time and insulate myself with bullshit.
Yeah, man.
And like it's like the minute you step out and like and fail, it's like okay. And what I've learned, right? Like when I put out my first song, like somebody didn't like it, and it like it didn't hurt as much as I thought it did. It was like, well, okay, all right, well, they don't like it, okay. And then I sort of just moved on with my life. And it's like, but like, if you don't fail, you don't learn. It's like, I love the phrase, like, I want to live with no regrets. And it's like, well, then you're not going to live a life.
That's a good point.
Like,
That's a good
like,
point.
Like if you're not regretting anything, that means you've never fucking learned anything.
Yeah.
You haven't experienced anything. You're just the same shitty person that you were when you decided to not live with regrets.
Yeah.
Look,
And I think when people say that, they really mean like the attitude they try to take on. But like realistically, if you're a human being that's lived a certain amount of time on this planet, you regret some shit.
yeah, I regret a lot of things.
You know what I mean? Like we all make mistakes. A lot of us make grave mistakes. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's just you live and you learn. For most people, it's inevitable.
Right. And it's like, we're going to put this out, and like sort of what we've designed this thing to be is sort of like the ultimate learning process. And sort of to circle back, like, you want to really understand the creative process.
Yeah.
And I think one big aspect of what this podcast is in our quest to find it,
That's it.
is we're sort of we're going through the creative process in real time with our audience. Like, I've that's not something you see a lot. Like, we've made a podcast about making
a podcast
shit.
Yeah, that's it. And if this is something that we do for a long period of time, and kind of develops and evolves, it'd be really interesting to kind of see like the comments that would be made, like, well, I wanted to learn how to make a podcast, and I just watched you guys making a podcast about making a podcast. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's in a way like we're indirectly making a blueprint of something.
Right.
I don't know what. We don't know what yet.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting to see how this thing takes form.
Right. And like we are going to fail. We're going to fail so you can succeed.
Hey, we do it for you.
Yeah.
We do it for you guys.
And also, just to go back, like that, like to be a creative juggernaut, like if I'm being honest with myself, like that's what I want to. Like, I want to have, like, it's a shitty thing to sort of admit.
Yeah.
But like, I want to have an empire of creative shit.
That's it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like it's because in our culture, we have this weird mix of, well, failure is not an option, but at the same time you have to be humble, and it's just like a lot of mixed messages, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But like,
America is a society of contradictions.
But like, if we're talking, if this is truth time, I feel like it would definitely serve my ego if people sought me out for quality ideas. I think that would it would in my opinion, do very well in my psyche and make me feel good and give me those drips of dopamine that I occasionally need to in order to stay happy.
Absolutely.
But no, honestly, like a lot of it too, honestly, and this is, I'm being genuine, sincere, is I'm a creative, and the reason why I love all forms of art is because, in a way, it's magic, right? Especially to somebody who is not a creative but appreciates the arts. When they see when they see a painting or hear a piece of music that moves them on an emotional level, that's magic to them. Because, like, I remember, when I was a young kid and listening to beats and hip-hop songs, specifically The Message on Nas's second album. Like, I was like, yo, this is the best beat in the world. And I was like, this is amazing. How did they make this? But of course, as I learned about music and how to make beats and sample the samples, like, the magic was kind of taken away. You know what I mean? Like,
sure, yeah.
You kind of, I got behind the curtains. You know what I mean? And when I learned about theories and started picking up instruments, you know what I mean? And even more, the magic kind of drifted away. But what's interesting, it was along the way I found another form of magic where, all right, so I took the time to learn my craft, to learn the theory, to learn the tools, the software, the instruments. And now I'm at a place where I can actually make stuff, right? The process is the magical stuff, because along the way, little happy mistakes happen, and all of a sudden, like, just things that you didn't intend to happen just happen, and it turns out a lot better than what you had in your head.
Yes.
And to me, that's fucking magical.
Yeah. Like, I'd say the best example is like when you and me and Ryan and Luke
get
into a room and just like create out of thin air. Like
jams.
Like we didn't just make like a jam that was like whatever. We would make fully realized songs.
Sections.
Yeah, like
on
and
the
like
spot.
That's right, and it's like that is magic. Like, that's why you do that, to live in that fucking moment. And it's like,
Oh.
And all of us were on, like Luke was just like on the spot, was just like lyrics for fucking days,
Yeah.
coming up with hooks
Yeah.
on the spot. Like we all just like, we just fed off of each other.
Yeah.
Like that is an amazing, that you're right, that is the magic. Like those little happy, like the process of it. And then when you dig in, like you find more stuff. It's, you know, it's just like
nugs everywhere, you know?
Yes, exactly.
You know, so like, yeah, no, that's that, you know, and that's, you know, I'm a 37-year-old man, and those are the, you know, those are the very few things in my life left that kind of make me feel like a kid. You know what I mean? Like when I get a new piece of gear, or I discover a new sound, or you know what I mean, or get to play with a new set of sounds. It's just like I feel like a kid again. I'm playing. I got my toys, and I'm just, you know, kind of making things happen.
Right. I would say like to be stupidly philosophical for a minute. It's like creative people are always sort of like chasing Christmas. You know what I mean? Like that Christmas morning magic of like of just that feeling of like, you know, everything is just right. You know what I mean? We're always just sort of chasing that perfect Christmas morning of like, you know, here's the shit. Oh my God, the potential of everything coming. You know, ask that feeling.
Let me ask you this now. What do you think is a greater, like a greater point of validation? Is it, do we do it for the recognition that we get for doing a quality piece, or are we doing it for our own internal gratification? I know the answer is a mixture of both. Yes,
it is.
Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's get
That's
that
the
out of
answer.
the way. But
It's
what's the? I mean, I'm sure it varies between individuals. But
right. I think that's a very personal thing.
Okay. Okay.
But so yeah, sure, it's for your own ego, but I think there's also a part of it. It's just like, you know, if you're putting out shit, it's I don't know, like that. It's still that's a complicated question.
It is, of course,
because sure, it is like it's a mixture of both, but it's like that's such a nuanced.
Yeah, you're right.
Question.
You're right.
And it is such a person, like, because like there are some assholes out there who just like just want to create whatever, like, you know, mumble rappers get a lot of shit. A lot of it's deserved, in my opinion. But like 6ix9ine doesn't give a fuck about the quality of shit he's putting out. He just wants to be fucking famous. You know what I mean? And like that's the gratification he's getting is from being fucking famous.
Yeah.
And it's just like put out as much shit as you want and whatever. And, you know, and it worked. Like, as much as I dislike what he symbolizes and all that stuff, you know, he's fucking famous and making millions of dollars, and I'm not.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not an artist. He's an entertainer. I mean, there's definitely a difference.
Sure, but that's still, in our society, artist and entertainer are under the same umbrella. Yeah. You know, whether we like it or not. Yeah. And it's sort of like, you know, I think for an artist, it's probably, you know, they want to put out quality work, like a true artist. Like it's the gratification. Again, it really just comes down to both. Like I seek gratification in creating something that, like, I'm the type of person, and this is super egotistical, who like I listen to everything that I've ever made. Like, any band I've been in, anything, any piece of music that I've made, like, I listen to it. And there's a lot of people who are like, I never listen to my music. And it's like, cool.
But wait,
you don't do that?
What's the logic behind that? I don't understand.
It's sort of like I don't totally understand the logic behind it, because it's not, but it's sort of just like, you know, they made it. So, like, Ad Rock was on something, and he's like, I made that song. And like I lived with that song for so long, so why do I want to listen to that song? Like I did.
Well, I understand that, you know, like especially.
And I get that mentality. Yeah.
For me personally, like I mix, I record and mix songs, and when if you have experience, if you're seriously mixing songs, it's hours of work trying to get things right, and you're not like listening to enjoy the piece, you're analyzing the shit out of it. And if you listen to a song 1,000 times, I get it. If you don't want to listen to it ever again, I totally understand.
And it's like, and then like also like if you're a touring band or something, and then you're playing that song every single
Oh my
fucking night,
goodness.
you're not gonna want to listen to that song anymore.
Yeah.
But like Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age was on Joe Rogan once, and like I agreed with him so much when he was just like, I make music like I got into music to make music that I wanted to listen to. And like that's the thing, it's like, so like I want to make something that I'm gonna enjoy, and I find gratification in that process. But then I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, there is that, like, we want people to like what we do, because that's gonna make, like, if nobody likes what we're doing, sure, you can be cliche and be like, I'm still gonna do it no matter if people like it or not.
You're lying to yourself.
Right, but yeah, but like it that still doesn't feel good if nobody likes what you're doing, and then you're just doing it to spite people, and then that's just a bad.
You're not doing it
something.
you're not doing it for the right reason. So
Right.
back to like the real answer. It's a mixture of both.
Right. Yeah.
I guess the real question is like, what's a healthy balance?
Right. And I think that's just, I don't even know if that exists. Like, if anybody's found that.
Dude,
balance yet.
look at our lives. Nobody has a healthy balance.
Right. And but I think that's the thing, is like, we're told that failure is not an option, but to also be humble. But there is like, there is the in between. It's like, fail and fail frequently to learn your lessons, but master what you have to do so you stop failing at a certain point.
Yeah.
And you can be like, yeah, I'm good, but you don't have to be like, I'm the biggest fucking swinging dick you'll ever gonna meet, and I'm better than everybody.
No.
So there's like layers to it where you can be like, yeah, I'm good, I'm confident. Like it's the difference between confidence and arrogance. Where confidence, like, you're quietly humble, but like you'll admit that you're great, and arrogance is just you're fucking telling everybody how great you are all the fucking time.
And you know what's funny? It's those who are skilled, who are very humble, are the ones that obviously put in the time, because they labored to get to that level, right? And they know that, like, it doesn't make sense to. They let their craft speaks for themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it speaks for itself. Like, why do you have to boister and be flamboyant and have these grandiose claims that you're the best when like people are saying it for you? You know what I mean? Your work speaks for itself.
Right. And I think age has a lot to do with that. I'm happy to be realizing these dreams in my 30s.
Sure.
Because if I feel like if we, I heard another great quote. It was like, fame stops you at the, like, whatever age you are when you became famous. Yep. That's how old you are. You're going to be for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And not that, like, I want to make it clear, like, fame is not something that I'm interested.
Not even interested in.
But like, it's just sort of like, it's sort of a feature of being a very successful person in the entertainment space.
That's a good way to put it.
But it's a feature that I could give a shit about.
Sure.
But it's sort of like, it does stop you. Like Justin Bieber is a really good example. And I think that's who this person was talking about when they were making that quote of, like, he's sort of like stuck being a teenager for the rest of his life.
Just Channing Tatum?
Yeah, I think it was Channing Tatum that said that. And it's sort of like, but when you're young, you're very braggadocious, and you're like, there's no such thing as a humble 24-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, It's just like, I mean, sure, if you're a famous 24-year-old, you probably think that you are the greatest fucking thing in the world. But then when that person, like, there are the few that get, like, like the DiCaprios and the Tom Hankses and the fucking Denzel Washingtons of the world, like, they've been doing it since they were in that, but now they're old men and they have that humbleness.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm happy that we're doing this in our 30s, because I feel like it's like I've eaten enough shit,
bro. I was I'm just less dumb now than I was back then. I'll say that. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I just can you imagine if I attained fame and wealth in like my late teens, early 20s? I'd be dead right now.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't know if I would have gotten out of that alive.
I'd be fucking dead right now.
Like the 27 Club, like, that's a thing.
I'd be fucking dead right now. If I wasn't that, I'd probably have a serious drug habit right now.
Right, and that's what happens to people, because they don't know how to they're young and they don't know how to deal with, you know, their emotions or anything.
Yeah. And like you're just surrounded by yes men and sycophants, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like you don't have anybody real checking you when you need to be checked, and having your best interests in mind.
Right. And I think that's another good thing about, like, you know, we're doing this at this point in our lives is, like, you know, we're going to be a lot better at sort of like weeding that out of our shit. Like, we know what to look for because we've been around enough people at this point.
Experience.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's like, you know, like getting back to the dream, sort of like, you know, the East Coast, you have New York and you have New York. And, you know, it's sort of like, there's a phrase that I always loved, and it was cult classic, not bestseller.
Okay.
And I feel like, you know, sure, most bestsellers, you know, have longevity, but like cult classics last forever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's sort of like if I became like sort of the independent, if like, you know, it's all about independence, like sort of the Hollywood, California, New York thing. It's all crumbling down because of the internet and because of other societal shit going on right now with Me Too and all that. And it's sort of being exposed as being bullshit. Like, this is the time for us to sort of come in and for, like, you know, independently minded businesses to take over, where, like, you know, we can sort of, it's better, like, I don't know, like creating a true space for independent artists to get their start and do what they need to do. Like, has always been a dream of mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said in the previous episode, like there's less barriers to entry.
Right.
Right. Like we're in front of our computers.
Right.
Building a media empire.
Right.
Right. That's all it takes. Where before you would need a huge amount of fucking capital to get anything going.
Right.
Right. And in a large network, you know. So those things we do not have.
Right.
But in 2020, we don't need that.
No.
You know. So I'm looking forward to the potential and what we are creating. And part of the excitement is that we don't even really know what we're building.
Right.
You know, we're just laying down some bricks, and with experience and time, you know, we will use the creative process to
Rule the
form
world.
something. Boom. Just like that.
Yeah, and that's like, yeah. So like, we're telling you all right now that we're here to fucking take over.
What Conor McGregor said? He's like, we're not here to partake. We're here to take over.
Exactly. And that didn't super work out for him in the end, but
it kind of did, because
it did for a while. Yeah.
No, in terms of fighting, but right now his liquor company is appraised at $2 billion.
Well, there you go. So yeah, he's doing
he's
shit.
Doing okay.
Yeah,
he's doing okay.
But yeah, and that's what it is. Like, that's the dream, is to,
Yes, sir.
you know.
Yes, sir.
Is to, yeah. So yeah, and I mean, that's about all I got to say. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's it for me. I think this was a very good conversation. There was things I got to work on, and it was a fun episode. It wasn't very serious, you know. We're just chatting.
Yeah, we need to do these, you know, every so often.
I think ultimately this is what it's gonna turn into once we kind of get the foundational shit out of the way.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us again on this journey of figuring out what is this podcast. I have been Dave.
And I'm Gene.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.